It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We've got some updates today on the Palisades fire, which is heading up to the 9-month anniversary in just a couple of weeks. It is so unbelievable how devastating this fire has been and how most of our local electeds, save Tracy Park, seem to be completely ignoring what happened there. First off, you remember how Karen Bass kept saying, well, we need that after-action report, and an after-action report was one of the reasons she decided to fire the fire chief? Well, she kept teasing that it was going to come out at the end of August. Well, here we are at the end of August, and apparently the feds are asking the locals, don't release that report because it could compromise our federal investigation into how this fire started. For more on that, we go to KCAL in Ross Palumbo.
Breaking news now, the after-action report on the Palisades fire delayed.
And KCAL senior investigator Ross Palumbo joins us now to break down why this delay is happening.
Well, Pat, one, we just found out about this. Everyone is waiting for this report to come in. State law, in fact, requires this after-action report to examine what happened during the city's response to the Palisades fire.
Well, for a refresher, the mayor was in Ghana and then needed to hold an investigation as to why she was allowed to go to Ghana if everybody but her knew how bad the wind was.
We're just learning that the U.S. attorney has actually...
I know a lot has happened this year, but we have to not forget just how bad leadership was during the worst disaster this city has ever seen.
We're just learning that the U.S. attorney has actually reached out to the mayor and asked the city to hold off on that report, though. This is because the ATF is still looking into the cause of the fire back on January 7th. That investigation is...
How long does this take? I know sometimes we never even hear the cause of some of these fires. Like, for instance, the fire that melted the 10 freeway. You remember how Gavin Newsom was so sure it was an arsonist and said there's no way it was a homeless person, even though homeless people start fires under freeways every single day? Where is that arsonist? That was almost 3 years ago.
That investigation is still ongoing, and sources within the mayor's office say the feds are concerned that releasing the city report could jeopardize the federal investigation. Exactly what is contained within the report that could cause this issue is still unknown. A source tells me it is still actually in draft form at the city, and it's not even clear whether...
Oh, so the report's not even done yet.
Clear whether the mayor herself has seen the draft report. The mayor releasing a statement just a few moments ago saying, quote, according to state regulations, the city of Los Angeles is required to complete an after-action report regarding the Palisades fire. Late last week, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California requested the report to be held to avoid interference with the ongoing federal investigation. Upon the conclusion of the investigation, an after-action report will be released in coordination with the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, this report was...
Yeah, when's that going to happen? Who knows? The fact that it's taking this long makes me wonder if they don't want people to know the answer. Because there are quite a few reasons why the city could be liable.
Supposed to come out in just a few weeks in the fall. Now the date is uncertain. As soon as we get any more information on all of that and the release date, of course, we'll let you know. But again, this highly anticipated report is going to be delayed. We don't know how long. It definitely has to do with the cause of the fire.
Well, didn't you see Mayor Bass today at that heat press conference that we had?
Oh, yeah. She had an emergency preparedness presser for the heat wave because, now she does those things.
I did actually.
Speak to this?
And I did speak with the mayor about the Palisades fire. And I basically asked her, in the wake of the Palisades fire, are we now prepared for this heat wave that is coming our way, where all the warnings are going out? She pointed out that there is no red flag warning here within the city, but she says if there's a problem, they do believe they are now way more prepared than they were back in January. There's a new task force, a brush.
We learned our lesson after the entire city burned down.
Fire task force that the fire department has. I think it's called Company Number 4. And she says that all the hydrants that we've exposed problems with, that they are now working, and they do not believe there would be any water problem this time around in the event of something springing up.
Oh, yeah. Remember that one? A whole bunch of fire hydrants were broken, but the LADWP said no, they're not. But the fire department said they are, and nobody was talking to each other because that's how things work in Karen Bass's Los Angeles. And it was CBS, KCAL, that put out this report and sent it to the mayor and said, hey, can you check on these fire hydrants so this doesn't happen again?
A lot has changed for this next time around. So very good, Ross.
Yeah, again, really quickly, the cause of the fire, the leading theory right now, as we understand it, is a brush fire that happened on January 1st. Remember, that died down. They believe that may have flared back up. We don't know what the cause is, and that's what the ATF is trying to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, the one theory that seems to be sticking out is that it was an ember that popped up from a fire from New Year's Eve that was started by fireworks. And we don't know if that's the cause. We don't know if it's a homeless encampment. We don't know what. But if we have definitive proof that the most devastating fire in Southern California history was started by fireworks, I think we got to up the fines from $1,000 if you get caught with illegal fireworks to you lose your pinky. Okay, that might be a little tough, but I really can't stand fireworks. Hey, did you know that that's not the only wild story coming out of the Palisades in the last 24 hours? Because just 12 hours after that drop, that the after action report isn't happening, the hammer came down on Karen Bass from the demoted, fired fire chief, Kristin Crowley. She has filed a legal claim against Karen Bass, claiming conspiracy to misinform and to defame and to retaliate against her for speaking the truth. Karen Bass thought this story would go away when she scapegoated the fire chief for everything that she did wrong, including cutting the budget and then lying about cutting the budget, to, if I fire the fire chief, no one will ever ask me any questions again about how badly performed we were at this fire. Let's find out what's going on with this claim. Let's find out if Kristin Crowley, the demoted fire chief, has a case. Here once again is KCAL and Ross Palumbo.
There's some breaking news now. Former Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristin Crowley is accusing LA Mayor Karen Bass of, quote, orchestrating a campaign of misinformation, defamation, and retaliation in a new lawsuit filed this morning. For details on the legal filing.
Quite the trio there. Misinformation, defamation, and retaliation.
In a new lawsuit filed this morning. For details on the legal filing and what Crowley's alleging, we're now joined by KCAL senior investigative reporter Ross Palumbo. And Ross, what is in the document?
Well, this is the claim right here, Jamie. It is pretty thick. It's some 23 pages long, and in it, former LAFD fire chief Kristin Crowley lays out a pattern of retaliation from Mayor Karen Bass.
Did Bass think that Crowley was just going to go away quietly when she scapegoated her for everything wrong with that fire and got extra pissy when Kristin Crowley was asked over and over and over again if the budget cuts had anything to do with the fire department's response? And when she finally said yes, Karen Bass decided she gots to go. What do you know? That's finally coming back to bite her in the ass.
The Crowley says led to her demotion while the mayor was undermining public safety. Mayor Bass removed Crowley as chief back in February, just 6 weeks after the Palisades fire on January 7th. The mayor saying she did it back then because she was, quote, acting in the best interest of the city, but in the
best interest of her finding someone to blame because she was so sick and tired of reporters from all over the world who had come to Los Angeles to say, why the hell were you in Ghana? I don't know why I was in Ghana. We're going to investigate why I was allowed to go to Ghana. How come no one told me about the winds, even though everyone knew the winds were going to be historically bad?
In this claim.
Also, because, again, this is a story that needs to not go away, especially if anybody is going to step up and run against Karen Bass in 2026. Why Does the mayor of Los Angeles even need to go to a place like Ghana? Why, if you want to run the second largest city in the country, do you need to involve yourself with nonsense that doesn't matter, like going to inaugurations, especially when Karen Bass herself is the person that declared a state of emergency on homelessness? Something now the LA City Council is trying to undo because, well, it means that Karen Bass isn't accountable for all of her failures with Inside Safe. But we'll get to that one failure at a time here.
In this claim, Crowley says Mayor Bass had only been acting in her own best interest and retaliated against Crowley and defamed her all along the way. The trouble, she alleges, began after Crowley disclosed that she had warned Bass before the fire that cutting nearly $18 million from the fire budget would have serious consequences.
And if you remember, back then in December of 2024, LA City Councilman Tracy Park was having a rally with the fire department saying that we need to fund this department, whether it's a ballot measure or fixing the money that was cut in the budget for things like mechanics for fire trucks so the fire trucks cannot run. We are getting really close to a disaster. And then what happened? While Karen Bass wasn't here.
After that, Crowley claims the mayor and her office launched a smear campaign. That includes, she says, allegations that Crowley refused to conduct an after-action report.
Oh, that's right. The same after-action report that the feds don't want released because it could impede on their investigation.
That includes, she says, allegations that Crowley refused to conduct an after-action report, sent home 1,000 firefighters, had 40 fire engines just idling, and failed to notify the mayor of the weather event that exacerbated the fire. Crowley says those allegations are all false.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if they're going to have any evidence to back up those claims, but maybe they do. Maybe Crowley has receipts. Maybe she kept the emails. Maybe she wrote down notes. But there's been a lot of different talking points throughout the failures of this fire and things that we still don't understand, why there wasn't any water in the fire hydrants. But Karen Bass kept saying, and it's the talking point she still uses in interviews to this day, that Crowley sent 1,000 firefighters home. Crowley left the engines idling. Crowley didn't tell me about how bad the wind was. What if there is evidence that that's not true? That might be able to prove her case. I mean, you wouldn't bring a lawsuit like this, which is going to ruffle a lot of feathers, make a lot of people uncomfortable, and make Karen Bass use the full weight of her office against you, unless you think you have a shot at winning, or at the very least, putting a big black eye on Karen Bass's entire term as mayor of Los Angeles, which at this point, I don't think is hyperbole to say Karen Bass is a worse mayor than this jackass.
I receive things on both ends.
I am here to say that that is the case. We were still in awful hands with Eric Garcetti, but Karen Bass is worse. I actively am figuring out ways to move out of this city, and I wasn't doing that when Eric Garcetti was in charge.
Now she's seeking an immediate retraction of false and defamatory statements, a formal and public apology, and an end to all the ongoing retaliation that she alleges. And although the claim doesn't...
and by the way, because of civil service protection, she wasn't fired. She was just demoted and reassigned to a different job. So she's still there. And there's a whole lot that's being alleged, including that as soon as Kristin Crowley told Fox 11 that the city failed her and failed her department by cutting the budget, that immediately, even before the firing, Kristin Crowley wasn't invited to any more press conferences, and they already started putting in their stooge, Ronnie Villanueva, Karen Bass's handpicked interim fire chief, to start going to those press conferences, already listed on the press documents as the interim fire chief. That seems like straight up retaliation, which, with California labor standards, which are very pro-worker, especially unionized workers, might show that Karen Bass engaged in illegal retaliation.
And an end to...
I don't know if that's an illegal thing or just a liability thing, but it's not great. And because Karen Bass is protected by the city of Los Angeles, it means that Crowley can sue the city for millions and millions and millions, which the city will settle.
And an end to all the ongoing retaliation that she alleges. And although the claim doesn't mention a specific dollar amount, it does indicate that she's seeking an amount over $25,000. We have reached out to the mayor.
I think it's a lot more than $25,000.
For comment on this, she is not responding. Interestingly enough, just yesterday, the mayor announced that the after action report would be delayed because the feds haven't concluded their investigation into what caused the fire.
And this was the big sticking point. If you remember, Karen Bass claimed the reason that she fired the fire chief wasn't because she blabbed about the budget to Fox 11. The reason that Karen Bass fired the fire chief is she claimed that the fire chief, Kristin Crowley, refused to do an after-action report. And that's why she fired her, for that level of insubordination. Kristin Crowley alleges she was never even asked to do the after-action report. That's a big difference.
Predominant theory is that it happened at Skull Rock, but we still don't know exactly. But now that this claim comes out, it is interesting because that after-action report will figure the former fire chief prominently. So
this is Karen Bass's report that was supposed to let Kristin Crowley fall on her sword. And when she didn't play along, and then she went to the LA City Council to plead for her job, she laid out everything that was going on, and it didn't matter. It fell deftly on the city council's ears. Several members of the city council were bought off by Karen Bass for simple things like, do you know that if you want to get a homeless encampment cleaned up with Karen Bass's Inside Safe program, you have to kiss her ass? This was what was alleged at the LA City Council meeting today as they're debating ending the state of emergency. Monica Rodriguez of the Northeast San Fernando Valley claims Karen Bass won't do an Inside Safe cleanup in her district because she doesn't kiss Karen Bass's ass. Yes, Karen Bass is worse than Garcetti. Someday we're doing that as a topic.
People are wondering, does this have something to do with why the after-action report was delayed? We're putting those questions to the mayor and her staff. As soon as we hear back from them, which we haven't so far, we will let you know.
Well, you've been covering this from the beginning. Are there things that you are seeing outlined in here that you've been hearing since your reporting began on this issue?
You know, it's so interesting because we were reporting immediately that there was a problem with the fire budget, that $17.6 million, almost $18 million, and the tension between...
Wait a second. Karen Bass said the fire department budget wasn't cut, and that's fake news. There's the investigative reporter for KCAL saying the budget was cut.
The mayor and the fire chief was palpable. I believe I was the first person to ask the fire chief directly at a press conference with the mayor whether the budget was at issue. And at that point, she chose not to answer it. She just put her hands up. When she finally did answer the question, the mayor immediately pulled her into a private meeting at City Hall, and there was a lot of tension surrounding that. So this has been building from day one.
Okay, Ross, thank you. Appreciate the reporting.
So there is the latest news on what's going on in the Palisades. The former fire chief, Kristin Crowley, is suing the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. She's filed a legal claim, but that's just the first precursor to a lawsuit. But she is alleging a campaign of disinformation, defamation, and retaliation. My question to you, based on everything you saw unfold in the first few months of this year, at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this: do you think the former fire chief of Los Angeles has a case? Do you think she has a case when she is alleging that Karen Bass orchestrated a campaign of misinformation, defamation, and retaliation against her to make Kristin Crowley the scapegoat for the fires? Do you think former Chief Crowley has a case? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now. I'd love to hear what you think about this. The phone number is 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The fired fire chief of Los Angeles, Kristin Crowley, filed a legal claim today suing Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass for defamation, misinformation, and retaliation. She claims that all the things that Karen Bass said are the reasons that she fired the fire chief, including not warning her about the wind, including sending 1,000 firefighters home, leaving 40 engines idle. All of that were lies. My question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this: do you think Kristin Crowley has a case? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We'll get your calls next. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We're coming right to your calls. Do you think Kristin Crowley has a case as she tries to sue Karen Bass for a campaign of misinformation, defamation, and retaliation? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We're taking your phone calls right now at 800-222-KABC. The former fire chief of Los Angeles, Kristin Crowley, has filed a legal claim against Karen Bass, a precursor to a lawsuit alleging a campaign of misinformation, defamation, and retaliation in the scapegoating of her and firing her and placing all the blame on her for such nonsensical things as she didn't warn Karen Bass that there was going to be wind and she went to Ghana. Do you think Kristin Crowley has a case? Let's start with, thanks for holding everybody, Jason in Van Nuys. Jason, hello.
Hey, Randy, thanks for standing for the truth for all of us Los Angelinos. I got to tell you, I'm so grateful for Kristin. I always thought that, she was doing a pretty good job, considering that she was just thrown in. But, really, putting Karen on blast for nothing but these lies and cover-ups, this is just one thing out of a lot of things that, she's really covering up. She's been trying to line the pockets of all her people, and, we're finally getting some kind of paper trail. And if I'm not mistaken, this was someone that Karen appointed. And this just shows how she's willing to even throw her own people under the bus to protect herself.
I do got to correct you on that point. It was Eric Garcetti that appointed Kristin Crowley right before Karen Bass became mayor. Like right at the end of 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Got it. But, the fact that she's standing up to her, putting her on blast, I'm surprised she didn't try and pay her off so she'd keep her mouth closed. But, she's really, I thought she did a fine job. She was given not too much to work with. Again, the reservoirs were empty, and, she did everything she could. And then when she reaches out to her, for some instruction, for, some help, she just starts blaming her for everything that was happening while she's over there in Uganda, having a good time. Finally, we need people to continue to do this. It's going to cost, me as a taxpayer and the rest of us, granted. But I'm willing to pay that price to finally see, Karen Bass exposed fully.
Well, and if she does get exposed, and even though Karen Bass thought this story would go away, if this is the thing that stops her from getting another 4 years as mayor of Los Angeles, it saves us a ton of money in the long run.
You bet. Yeah, I will continue to share this information and, just try and put it out there because, this is one thing, but it's just going to keep coming. My wife is a DCFS worker, and she worked under Karen Bass, and they fired her because she was funneling money to different unions and different groups, not taking care of the kids, and literally the employees were reaching out to their union reps and, we're not getting the funding that we need. You're basically putting these children in danger. So, there's a lot of history of this from her. And one thing after another is going to get exposed. And, once she, Kristin, will be successful, God willing, she will be. And maybe this is going to be the path for other people that were just waiting, hopefully for this dam to break. Because we've got to get this lady out of here. She has just been an absolute disaster for California, especially Los Angeles, of course.
Oh, I think you're
But
so
really
right about that. I love it. Thank you so much for calling in, Jason. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for calling in. And yeah, I hope more people step up, because if this is how she acted toward Crowley, I'm pretty sure she's done this in a whole bunch of different departments. Part of the reason we're still in a state of emergency on homelessness is so she doesn't have to open the books and show anybody what she's doing for this nonsensical Inside Safe program, where her handpicked head of LASA was cooking the books so everyone would think that it was doing well. Just one of many, many, many problems. Let's go to Alicia in Lake Balboa. Alicia, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great.
Hello? Okay, so listen,
Hey.
I'm so happy that all these, corruption things are coming out, and we already suspected it, but now there's proof that, Newsom, Bass, they have, been corrupt. But are they ever going to go to jail, or that's not a possibility?
Oh, I think that's very unlikely. With the protections of qualified immunity that our elected officials have, unless they are dead to rights, you can see the corruption like members of the city council. And it's very possible, because we saw what happened to Mark Ridley Thomas, and Karen Bass almost did the exact same thing when it came to USC. So it's possible, but those things are very difficult to happen. But we still hope. Let's go to Kathy in Camarillo. Kathy, hello.
Hi, I'm so glad I heard this on the radio. I was trying to get the Dodger channel, and I got you, and I pulled over to get the number. Yes, she needs to be hired back. Karen Bass needs to be fired. She's a filthy, filthy liar. She went to Ghana or wherever she went. She said she didn't know anything about the fire. She didn't get notified. You know what? I live in Camarillo. We had our mountain fire. I knew about what was going on because I got alerts. You have to be responsible. She wasn't responsible, and I hope they fire her you-know-what. I wish Rick Caruso could have got the job, because I think he would have been a better mayor. She's a filthy, filthy liar. I'm sorry to go off on you, sir, but I'm so glad I heard this, because now I don't have to write a nasty letter to her. I want everybody to hear my voice on this. I cried when they fired Kristin Crowley. I cried. Hello?
I feel your passion, Kathy. It was completely unfair about what happened to her. She did not need to be made the scapegoat because she just said the budget was cut.
I know a lot of people in the fire force, and you know what? I feel bad for them, because a woman like her that's got to lie. She's got to lie. I hope they bring her down so bad. Please, everybody come forward and root for Kristin Crowley. She needs her job back. I want her to get her job. Come to Ventura County. We'll treat you fair. Ventura County treats their employees fair. Come to us. We'll treat you fair. Apply for a job here. I'll vote for you. I'm sorry to get so upset, sir. What's your name? I wrote it down.
Randy. My name is Randy Wang. We do a show here every day from 5 to 6. And Kathy, anytime you want to call in and voice your opinion, we take live calls from 5 to 6 every day and from noon to 3 every day. So make sure you stay tuned to KABC, and we'll talk to you anytime you got something to say.
I just dropped my grandson off at his football, and I was picking up dinner for my husband here in Camarillo at our Chick-fil-A, and it's not a drive-thru. I'm glad it's not a drive-thru. So I got to run. And I sat here for a few minutes so I could get on the radio. So please, everybody, root for Kristin Crowley. She does not deserve to. And another thing about the water, It's not just the fire piece of paper. There's the water people that are in charge of that, not just the fire chief of L.A. People, wake up, open your eyes. Come on, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, I could go on. I'm sorry. I got to go pick up my husband's dinner now. So thank you for letting me air my voice to you, sir. And I really appreciate it. I'm going to start listening to you every single day, because this is about the time when I drop one of the grandkids off and I can hear this kind of news. And when I heard this, I pulled over right away and got the number. And I even got it wrong because I kept writing it down. And I heard it again. I go, oh, I got it wrong. I got to get it right. Okay, thank you, Randy. You have a good day, okay? Or good evening, I should say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. This is the place where Southern California gets to voice your opinion, and we take your calls every single day at 800-222-KABC. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Scott in Hollywood. Scott, hello.
Randy, hi. Hey. What's wrong with you and these other callers? Karen Bass, nothing is ever her fault. I mean, when are we going to get realize this? But seriously, look, she's going to be able to control the narrative because of our passive press that has surrendered to her. For example, the homeless count is down 1,580, I think, from the previous year. But what the press and what she doesn't report is that 2,000 died of drug overdoses. So that's basically a net gain of 500 homeless. But anyway, getting back to the issue that you're asking us to call about, depositions will have to be taken, but it sure looks like retaliation. We all know that Karen Bass is driven only by self-interest. In January, Karen Bass was the mayor. She's admitted that she's a news junkie. Every news organization was warning about the weather. Her own city agency warned about the oncoming winds. So what is she asking us to believe, that Kristin Crowley was her personal weather girl, and that was the only source of warning that she could have obtained? I don't understand this.
Oh, well, it's BS. That's what it is. And in fact, Karen Bass, like you said, admittedly claims that she is a P1 listener to KNX and listens to KNX all the time. KNX has weather every 5 minutes, and she didn't know about the winds?
Exactly. I mean, it's another lie. She lies all the time. She lied to me about taking a pay cut. Today's day 116 of no Karen Bass pay cut. She lied to KNX. Craig Bigner, he followed up on it, in May, and he said, "So when are you going to take the pay cut?" She said, "Well, when the budget is finalized." Well, the budget was finalized June 9th. I can't count the days so quickly right now, but it's still over. It's about 100 days since the budget was finalized. She's not going to take a pay cut, but she shouldn't be taking a dollar salary, because she has been so costly to this city. We have an entire neighborhood liquefied, $1 billion debt. Everything is defunded, and she is the only person that doesn't have to suffer some austerity. But the press lets her get away with it. You don't, I don't, other people don't, but we don't have much of a voice. And this is the problem.
Well, then we just got to be as loud as we possibly can and convince more people that, hey, does everything look great around here, or is it a giant, colossal mess? Thanks so much for the call, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay, look at this. I am so excited about this. I'm actually leaving the studio right after 6 o'clock to go. 790 KABC welcomes Shucked, the Tony Award-winning musical comedy about corn. It's at the Hollywood Pantages Theater now through September 7th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-222 gets a pair of tickets to the show on August 28th. Tickets furnished by the Hollywood Pantages Theater. Good luck dialing. I'm going to see this show tonight, and I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. If you're on hold, stay on hold. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Judge Wang, Your Honor, is this not the same Karen Bass who lied about the MTA being safe, who probably lied about her guns being locked up in a safe, but they were stolen somehow, who lied about getting a scholarship from USC, which really looked like a bribe, and finally, who refused to fire this idiot Janice Quinones from an $800,000 job that she never deserved? If the answer is yes, my client deserves success.
I love it. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And by the way, if you're wondering why Crowley was the scapegoat and not the head of the DWP, Janice Quinones, it's because Karen Bass appointed Quinones, and that would make her look bad. If she dumps a Garcetti pick, not her fault. Let's go to Richard in L.A. Richard, hello.
Hey, great show, Randy. I hate to be the bad guy, but, Crowley, she dropped the ball. I mean, I know, I'm born in L.A., and a lot of fire chiefs I've known and gone to school. And you look at a private, developer has her own fire department putting out fire, and you tell me with billions of dollars of equipment, one would have to tell the fire department is supposed to be ahead of the game. And here she's pointing the finger at something else where the responsibility was to have preventive. And here is nothing said about that. It's always, we didn't have enough equipment. Okay, she could.
Oh, you're totally right about that. And one of the things that's never talked about enough, except Byra Caruso, is how every department ignored clearing that brush for 30 years. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.